Hey guys, welcome back to the Outdoor Grit YouTube channel. Today we're going to be making a camping and survival pan that you can just put right over top of a fire and cook if you're camping or backpacking or hiking. So we got this pan idea from one of our favorite channels, the Outdoor Boys. He actually came up with this idea, and this pan is 100% made by hand. It's not any kind of pan you're going to go buy off the shelf at any of your big box stores, so that's kind of neat. So we copied pretty much his design the way he did in his video. We took it for our first hike. If you go back and look at our videos, you'll see a hike that we did like a week or two ago where we took this out and we actually made pancakes on it in the morning. One of the things that we found that we did not like was the length of it. So it's a little bit longer than what we need. It's takes up a little bit more space in the backpack. So we're going to shorten this. And then I'm going to make one other minor change just to make it a little bit more ergonomic. So if you guys want to follow along, I'm going to show you exactly how to do this so you can make your own pan. So one of the things that I really like about this pan is it's completely made from scratch. It's not like anything that you're just going to go buy off the shelf. So that's pretty cool too, because you take something with you on your camping or in your backpack that you actually made. I thought that part was pretty cool. So the basics of it is it's a sheet metal curved sides, which gives it some rigidity, and then it has a handle. And as I said, these are not like store-bought handles. The handles are made from round steel rod. The pan itself is made from sheet metal. The only thing that's really manufactured are the screws that I use to hold it together. And I think on his video he used a piece of the steel bar and made rivets, and he didn't even actually screw them on. He just kind of mushroomed a piece of steel through a hole. So then it really is 100%, made from scratch. But yeah, it's a nice design. I'm just going to shorten it up a little bit and then do a couple other changes, and we'll show you how it goes. All right, so what you're going to need first is you're going to need a piece of sheet metal. In this case, I think what works best is 22 gauge, which is the thickness. The piece I have here is 8 inches wide and it's 18 inches long. But again, I'm going to shorten the length of it. The width actually works really well because by the time you bend the sides up, you get like a perfect size griddle to fit in your backpack. So this is available a bunch of different places. I think we can get this from Amazon. Maybe we'll put a link in the description of where you can get this from Amazon. You might also be able to get this from some big box stores, but yeah, if you want to go to the description and click our Amazon link, we'd really appreciate that. Jessica says I need to get my safety equipment. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is go over some of the tools that you're going to need to do this. And you don't necessarily have to have all this stuff. I'll tell you some alternatives. First thing, if you want to cut this, which you don't have to, if you're okay with the pan being 18 inches long, you can disregard this tool. First tool I'm going to use is an angle grinder. Mine's a battery powered one. You don't have to use a battery powered one. You can use electric. And again, you only need this if you're going to cut it. So if you're not going to cut it, don't worry about that. After we cut it, in order to get the bend around the perimeter, what I'm going to be using is this tool here. And this is what's called a handbrake. You don't have to have this tool. I'm going to use this because I have it in my tool arsenal. I'll show you another way to do it if you don't have that, and that's going to be with a ball peen hammer. I'll go over that when we get into that. You're going to need a drill. It could be electric or battery powered, along with some drill bits. And then you don't have to have this, but I'm going to use a palm sander just to give it a smooth surface. And like if you were to keep it the full length and you wanted to get this label off rather than using any kind of chemicals or anything, you could peel it off, then you might have to sand that to get all that sticky off there. So on top of that, tape measure, something to mark with, and of course eye and hearing protection. And one other thing, which I don't have over here, I'm going to go grab, is a square, just to mark a straight line. So if you got all that stuff, you're good to go. All right, so step one is going to be get a measurement of how long you want your pan to be. As I said, this piece comes 18 inches long, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to shorten mine to where it's 16. Just keep in mind that the sheet is going to be 16, but once you fold the two sides up, you're going to probably lose maybe an inch, inch and a half off of that. So you're going to get it's going to be a little bit shorter than that when you're done. So yeah, so in my case, I'm just going to take my tape measure here, put a mark at 16. Grab your square. And there you go. All right, step two, make sure you got your eye protection, hearing protection on. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut that piece of metal right on that line there. One thing to watch out for is after you cut this edge right here is going to be like a razor blade. So what you want to do is get your palm sander. You can also use your grinder at a slight angle. And what you want to do is you want to clean this edge up. Otherwise you'll slice your finger open. So I'm going to clean this edge up now. All right, now that's all deburred and no worries that you're going to cut yourself. Okay, so that's it for cutting it. Now we're going to start bending it. Now what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take, this is an optional step, I'm going to take my orbital sander and I'm just going to go over this because obviously once you bend the sides up, it's kind of hard to get a sander in there. So running the sander over, it's just going to give it a nice smooth finish, and it'll get rid of, you know, any remaining burrs that you might have. All right, nice and smooth and ready to go. So now we're gonna bend the edges up all the way around the perimeter. And as I said, I'm gonna use a handbrake for this. I'll show you another method you can use if you don't have one of those. Otherwise, if you want to purchase one of those, we'll stick a link in our description. That way you know what tools you're gonna need. All right, so what we're gonna do now is we're gonna bend the sides. So as I was saying, what I'm gonna be using to do that is a handbrake. Handbrake is basically just a thick piece of metal. It's got a slot in on each side. This side here does a 1-inch bend. This side right here does a 3/8 inch bend. I believe 1 inch is kind of the sweet spot for this pan. So that's what I'm going to use. So because I have this, I don't really need to do any measuring. All I'm going to do is basically put that in there and then I'm going to bend. But if you don't have one of these, then what you're going to want to do is get your tape measure, go around the perimeter and mark a line at wherever you want your bend to be. So I would say 3/4 to 1 inch. And so mark a line, put a line, put one here, put one here, draw a straight line. So you'll have a line at, say, the 1 inch mark, and do that all the way around the perimeter. Once you have that done, what you'll do is you'll take your sheet, and you need a ball peen hammer that has a rounded end. You'll hold your sheet at approximately a 45-degree angle, and then you're going to take your hammer and you're just going to pound the hammer along the line all the way down. Then you're going to turn it, you're going to do that, and what that will do is that will cause this to flare up, and that flare up, that bend, is what makes this thing very structural. Without that, you can bend this thing pretty easily. So you definitely have to have a bend. So that's the way you do it if you don't have a brake. But because I do, I'm going to do it the easy way. And yeah, I'll show you how to do that. So in my case, I'm going to use the 1-inch side. Just going to stick that in, make sure it's inserted all the way, and then grab it with 2 hands. I'm going to put it right at the edge of like a table, and then I'm just going to roll up while I'm also applying downward pressure. You don't want to do like a 90-degree bend. You want something about 45 degrees. So something, you know, something about like that. And so what we're going to do is we're going to do that on all 4 sides, all the way around. This does take a little bit of elbow grease. You will get like a little kink in the corner here. That's not a big deal. Just kind of power through that. So when you're done, you should have something that looks something about like that. And as you can see now, it's saying that you're not going to bend it. Just simply bending those edges up increases the strength of this thing like 20 or 30 times. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to build these handles. And what I have here is just a piece of steel. It's a round 1/4 inch diameter, and this piece is 12 inches long. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it right in the center, so I got 2 pieces that are approximately 6 inches long. And one thing I didn't mention in the initial video that I wanted to tell you is when you buy your sheet metal, make sure this is just regular steel, cold rolled steel sheet metal. You do not want to use anything that's like galvanized. Stainless steel would probably be okay, probably wouldn't hold the heat as well. I think regular steel is a better conductor of heat, but just do not use galvanized. All right, so just measure 6 inches. Make sure to put your safety gear back on. And then you should have 2 pieces 6 inches long. All right, so now that we've got our 2 pieces of round steel cut, we're going to start bending them for this handle. As I said, I was going to make some modifications. I think one of the things I'm going to do is I picked up, I think this is a piece of 3/8 diameter oak. It's like an oak dowel. I'm going to try to drill a hole through here, and I'm going to try to make like a wooden handle that goes right there, because when this thing's on a fire, you definitely don't want to be grabbing this thing and picking it up because it's really, really hot. So I'm hoping I can drill a hole through here, cut this, put it on there, and then if I need to lift this thing off the fire, I'm just grabbing it by the wood rather than by the metal. All right, so using the old pan, I went ahead and took a measurement of these handles, and I'm thinking that this wood needs to be about 2.5 inches long. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to measure from the end here, put a mark at 2.5 inches, and I'm going to go give this a cut on the miter saw. Now the key to making this work is holding your drill perfectly level, because this is only 3/8. This is a 1/4 inch drill bit. So if you go off just a little bit, you're going to break out the side. So this is an optional thing. You don't have to do this. I'm not even sure if it's going to work, but I'm going to attempt it. Alright, so just like I thought, although it was a good idea, I didn't drill perfectly straight and actually broke out the side. I think it will work, and it'll give me something to grab onto, but I think a better solution to this would be, I looked on Amazon and they have some wooden dowels like this that already have a hole drilled through them. So I'm going to put a link to those in the description of this video, and if you guys want to purchase those, you can just go on Amazon and get them. It'll be a little bit safer and probably less headaches too to make them. Alright, so now what we're going to do is make the handles. I got my pieces of wood that I slid over here, and now what we need to do is we need to bend these both down. I don't have a vise, but if you did, this would be way easier in a vise. You could just stick these in a vise and bend them over, or hammer them over. So because I don't have a vise, I'm going to cheat a little bit. I just drilled a hole in a piece of wood here. And so what I'm going to do is grab my hammer. Take that off for now. Grab my hammer, and I'm just going to get that started. Get that bent a little bit, and then once I get that started, I can bend it the rest of the way with a pair of channel locks. So you're going to do that to both sides. If you're going to use like a wooden handle, bend one, slide your piece of wood on, and then bend the other one. When you're done, you should have something that looks something like that. Alright, so when you're done bending those, you should have 2 pairs of handles. In my case, I got wood on them. You don't necessarily have to have that on there. Just, you know, be careful when you pick the pan up. So the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to lay these flat, and we're going to put a hole through the top of each one, about a 1/4 inch in. That's going to be to attach the handle to the pan. You could do this a couple different ways. You could heat this up if you have like a plumber's torch, like a MAP gas torch or something. You could heat this up and put this on a vise or something and smack it, and you could kind of flatten this part out and give you a nice flat spot to drill your hole. I don't have that, so what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take my grinder. I'm gonna grind a flat spot on the top, and that'll give me a spot to drill my hole. Alright, so I took my grinder, I ground a little flat spot on these, that way I have somewhere to put the screw. Next thing we're going to do, I'm going to take some measurements here. This is 8 inches, so I'm going to measure 4, and I'm going to make sure this goes in the center. And then after I get this marked, I'm going to drill holes through these handles, and then I'll bring these over here and I'll transfer those holes to the pan. Now to attach these handles, I've chosen a 632 machine screw with a Phillips head, and then I've got some 632 nuts I'm going to put on the back side. So what I'm going to use is I'm going to use a 1/8 inch drill bit, and that's what I'm going to use to drill my holes through there. That should allow the 632 screw to fit in there nicely. Alright, we got our holes drilled through. Next thing we're going to do is transfer those holes onto our pan. Now, this is an 8-inch wide pan, so the center is 4 inches. You want to put a mark there, measure the width of your handle, put a mark in the center, hold it where you want it. Use a fine point marker or the drill bit to mark where your holes need to be. So we were working and we hear some barred owls over here hooting. We're just trying to see where they're coming from. Pretty cool. They're like calling back and forth. There's 2 over there and there's 1 behind us. They're calling back and forth to each other. So I'm gonna go ahead and drill my holes. All right, so I got my first hole drilled here into the pan. I'm gonna go ahead and put a screw in it just to hold it, just because it's a lot easier than sitting there trying to hold the handle in the pan by yourself and get it all attached. So we're just gonna take our screw. It's like I need to make the hole a little bit bigger. It's what you call wallering. All right, so I take that back. It seems like 1/8 inch was gonna be the right bit, but actually I'm gonna try a 9/64, which is 1 step up. All right, so what we're gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and put, I got 1 hole drilled in the pan. I'm gonna go ahead and put 1 screw in there and tighten it up. That way I have something to hold the handle for me while I drill the other hole. Otherwise, I'm sitting here trying to hold the handle, hold the pan, and hold the drill at the same time. Put that on. Got our nut. And I've got a Phillips screwdriver. Don't need to tighten it all the way now, just enough to snug it, and see now it'll hold my handle in position so I can drill the other hole. All right, now I got both handles on, or both screws in. I can go ahead and tighten up both of these screws. All right, so that's it. I got all the holes drilled, got the screws attached, and that's pretty much your pan now. Now there's one thing that I'm gonna do here, and that is these screws. The shortest ones I could find were like 3/4 of an inch long, so I got everything tightened up really tight now. I'm just gonna cut the back side of these off, that way they're not sticking out from the bottom. That way I got the screws a little bit tighter, so when you set it down, you don't have anything that it's going to grab onto. So I'm going to go ahead and do the other side. All right, so that's a wrap. We got our pan made. It's nice and rigid. The only thing left to do is to season it. So we're going to take you inside. I'm going to show you what we're going to do to get this properly seasoned. Pretty much like seasoning a cast iron. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to clean this with soap and water, just because I had some metal residue on here. Once I'm done with that, I'm going to dry it and apply olive oil or Crisco or something, and then stick this thing in the oven for about an hour and kind of just bake the oil on. You can probably do that 2 or 3 times if you want to. The more you do, the better and more like non-stick it's going to be. But I think the last one I made, I did 2 times. So we'll take you inside and I'll show you how we finish this off. All right, so what we're gonna do now is we're just gonna get the pan clean. Just gonna use water and just like Dawn dish soap. All right, now just towel dry it. Make sure you get all the water off. And next we're going to add our oil and put it in the oven. All right, we got our pan all clean. Next step is we're going to put some oil on this pan. I'm going to use peanut oil. You could use olive oil, Crisco. Just look it up online. Pretty much anything you could season like a cast iron skillet with. One thing I learned on the first one is try not to put too much oil. Because what's going to happen is if you put too much, it's going to pull in these corners, and then you'll end up with areas in the corners where it's like kind of sticky. So I'm just going to put a light coating of oil on this. All right, once you got it all oiled up, just put it in the oven. And I've got the oven set to 400 degrees, and I'm just gonna stick this in there for about an hour. All right, well, it's the next day. We seasoned our pan last night. I put it in the oven, and then I shut the oven off, and I just let it cool in the oven all night. So I'll show you what it looks like. So that's the pan after one round of seasoning. As I said, probably want to do at least 2. So I'm gonna go ahead and oil this thing up again, put it in the oven, and do another hour. But yeah, so that's pretty much how to make the pan. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. If you want to see more videos like this, please click the subscribe button. And if you got any thoughts or comments, please don't forget to share them in the comment section below. We'll see you next time.